far as I'm concerned, yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, great. Dr. Junaid, is my voice okay with you?
Yeah, I can't hear you well, really, Doctor. There is some voice or there is some noise in your voice.
I can hear noises. Anyway, it's okay. So, yes. Dr. gained a higher diploma in total quality management, a bachelor degree in information technology, a master's degree in information, cybersecurity, a second master's in educational research, and finally a doctorate in education with a specialized topic on the impact of conflict on education and social development. Of course, she has many certificates and accomplishments during her work and as a staff at various offices, including North Wales Police, Greater Manchester Police, Postal Service, HMRC, also and different academic institutions in the UK. Currently working as a program leader for the undergraduate level at the University of Bolton, as well as the teaching and learning champion, working as a visiting professor at the University of Wales, Trinity, and St. David's University. Academic principal at RIBT, providing elementary education for schools in Mosul, Iraq. Dr. Rula Lucy is, of course, she's an director of academic services with extensive experience in academic services, lecturing, tutoring, and curriculum development within the business and marketing industries. All right. She, of course, has, currently working on a project that enhances student retention and equality, and, of great, of course, special emphasis on ESOL students arriving from Europe and Asia, having numerous publications in the field of education. It seems that she's wonderful with education. You're here, and having numerous, as I said, also in the field of education, management, and computer science. So, is a member of the Arab British Chamber of Commerce and member of the American IEEE, member of the British Quality Institute, member of the British Computer Science, and member of the Chartered Institute of Management, member of the British Education Research Association and the World Education Research Association. She is also a member of the Authority, and she has published many articles in multimedia, computing, and computer science, and currently she is finalizing a book on education. A big welcome, Dr. Rula, from Iraq to the Great Britain, and I wish you really to have a nice evening with you, and for you, Doctor.
Thank you very much for this lovely introduction and for this kind invitation from yourself, the University of Samara, and from Dr. Junaid, who's been absolutely wonderful in extending this kind and generous invitation. So I've just checked the messages that apparently there's been connection or the voice is not too clear. So I have logged in 2 locations, so I just logged out of my phone. I hope there's no echo or there's no interruption to the sound. So if you can hear me clearly, I do hope that you can hear me clearly. If not, give me some heads up. It's good?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, because I logged out of my other link. So thank you again, everybody, for attending. I'm going to try and keep this seminar as light-hearted and as brief as possible, not too much, let's say, content. But I'm going to leave right at the end, if you wouldn't mind, or if any of my colleagues can just have a look at the chat messages. If there are any questions, please unmute your mic. Dr. Junaid can follow up on that and go ahead and ask me any questions that you may have while I'm delivering. Or otherwise, I'm more than happy to leave the question part right to the end and answer each and every one, or as time permits. So as you've heard, my name is Rula Alusi. I'm from Iraq, originally, but have been here in the UK most of my life. Educated in the UK, absolutely. But in terms of career-wise, I've got a mix between industry and education and teaching, of course, and lecturing at university. Now, you might see CMBE there and just underneath my name, and the PFHEA. This is something that I'm hoping that at some point I will introduce this to you guys or whoever's interested, of course, with the collaboration of Dr. Junaid and the University of Samarra, to introduce you what is the CMBE and what is the fellowship. But that's for another session. Now, today we will be talking about factors that influence the language. So ideally, we will be focusing on English as a language, but this actually, what I'm going to introduce you, it's to do with any language. Please stop me, pause me if I do tend to speak quite fast. So if I do, please speak to me, Rula, stop it, calm down and speak slowly just to get the message across, because the whole point of this seminar is to collaborate, is to support and also guide, whether you're an academic, whether you're a lecturer or a teacher, or even somebody who's interested in learning a language. Personally, I've been the learner, and I've been on the other side. So I've played two parts, if you like. I learned German. I'm learning Spanish, and I learned Welsh, which is another language that they speak in a different part of the UK. Just like we have in Northern Europe, there's Welsh as well. So anyway, that's for another time to discuss. Now, what factors affect the English language, or what factors affect the language learning? If you have experienced this before, or maybe you are in the process of learning a language, or even delivering a content or a subject or a module, or teaching English as a second language, you will tend to find that there are different factors influencing and affecting the language learning process. Although some say it's age, I don't believe age actually is a factor. But what is a major factor is the exposure to the language. So, for example, you need exposure to the right individuals, or to the right community, to the right sector, if you like, when you're learning a language. Meaning, if you are learning a new language, or if you want to enhance your abilities, you need to be exposed to native speakers. You need to be exposed to people whose first language is that language. Meaning, you need to be exposed to people whose first language is English. So to make sure, not just because of pronunciation, but also for the users. You might have somebody who's an absolute fanatic about the language, but they're not very academic. So you either need to be exposed to somebody, a native speaker who will teach you, or where you will get to practice your language or your learned new language, or somebody who's an academic like yourself, somebody who is teaching English as a second language, who is specialized in teaching English as a second language. As they become, or as they are, very professional or efficient in terms of especially picking out any issues or any grammatical errors and so on. Now we'll get to the grammatical errors in a bit. So what factors influence the language learning process? Like I said, exposure to the language. If you want, what I experienced it personally, or the way that I practiced my new languages at the time, was listening to a specific radio channel for that language, speaking to native people, as I said, or native individuals, and even watching TV programs. So especially now with technology, you have access to a multi or different platforms where you can actually watch and learn or practice listening, because there's a difference between listening and hearing. So you need to absolutely focus on the language. And as far as I know, it's even mentioned in the Quran al-Karim وإذا قرئ القرآن فاستمعوا وأنصتوا. You need to listen and you need to hear. So it's not just one or the other. You need to have a combination of both. So again, the factor could be the age. I don't believe that, actually, personally, I don't believe this is a really solid reason for not learning a language, but also skills. If you have, I've noticed that people who actually find it easier to learn the language or to learn any language, if they have skills such as musical ear, somebody who's actually who does have a musical ear, they tend to learn languages much more easier. Again, native speakers, and also the motivation. Now, this is a very important point. Motivation and commitment. You need this inner commitment. You need, as an individual, as a person, you need to be committed to what you're doing. If you are forced to learn it, maybe I don't mean forced as in you have to do it, but in terms of education, if you are studying in a different language, or if you are teaching students whose language or whose their first language is not English, you need to make sure that you motivate them enough, find whatever clicks or whatever works for them. So how do we improve the language skill? This is the interesting bit. I did mention at the beginning that I want to make this as light-hearted and as easygoing seminar as possible, which is understanding your own learning style. And understanding your own learning method, and also identifying. The second point is, let me just lay the pointer, there we go. So the first one is identify your learning style. Now, the learning style is very, very important, and I'll get to why this is in the next slide. So you identify, the first thing you do is identify your learning style, and then identify the reason for learning the language. Is it to obtain your certificate in English? Is it to obtain an IELTS? Is it to pass your English language test for any reason, academic reason? Or even is it just for leisure or travel? You want to learn a new language. We've got so many people traveling now, in Iraq, so many people travel to Turkey, for example. So do you want to learn new words? Or so many, if we're talking about Turkey, so many programs are on Netflix that you can actually watch and listen to the native speaker, and you can actually see check at the bottom. My mind went blank. You can see the transcript at the bottom to see in your own language, so you can actually see and hear and listen all at the same time. You have all your senses working at the same time. But you need to first identify why you want to learn the language, and before that, what is your learning style, which takes me to this point. Now, learning style is really important. We shouldn't expect, and this is not just for English classes, and this is for across the curriculums, across the different subjects and that are taught at university. So we shouldn't expect that somebody should learn or is, let's say, stupid or lacking understanding or ability to learn because they're not understanding what we're saying or what we're speaking in lecture. Let me clarify a bit more. So when you go and deliver content in a class, whether you're an academic or whether you're at the receiving end as a student, as a student, I sometimes don't understand, let's say, I don't understand what the lecturer is saying, and they're going on and on and on and on, even if it's in Arabic, even if it's my native language. Sometimes I don't understand. And that is because, not because my IQ level is low, it's because my learning style is different. Now, you as an academic, if we have, I'm assuming that we have many academics here with us in this seminar. You as an academic, you need to identify and recognize that not all people learn the same way. Some people learn by reading. Some people learn by seeing. Some people learn by hearing. And this is really important to recognize because not all classes are identical. Not everybody is the same. We can't say that, for example, Johann Sebastian Bach, or we have Mozart, or we have Tchaikovsky. we can't say that these people were idiots. They were geniuses. And we can't say that because their IQ or because they were focusing on music or art or painting, they are not as good as Einstein. This is illogical. We can't assume this because the IQ testing system is based on certain exercises, which is more to do with mathematical exercises or maybe some physics questions. So we shouldn't assume that these people lack intelligence because they didn't really answer the IQ test in the same form or the same level that other people did. We need to recognize that they answered it differently because their learning style is different. So there are different learning styles, as I said, which we need to recognize for us as individuals and then recognize it for others in order to adapt our classes and our teaching methods. So there's also this psychological test. We need to understand if you're delivering a class, let's say, on management or cybersecurity or let's say physics or chemistry, it doesn't matter, any topic that you're delivering, you need to understand what is the mentality or what is the psychological background of this individual. And there's a very cute and very sweet and interesting exercise designed by Adobe, and it's to identify, it's like a psychological test, but it's to identify the creativity of the individual. Are they more of thinkers? Are they creators? Are they dreamers? Are they explorers? And it tells you, once you do this exercise or even share it in your classes, it will identify for you, it will give you a report what sort of creative personality you have and who you can collaborate better with. So if, for example, you are the thinker, you may be working better or you can collaborate better with the creator. The creator works better with the artist works with the dreamer, and so on. And there's also another learning style designed by Professor Diana, University College London. She identified as 6 learning styles, whereas Howard Gardner actually identified 9. Now, this is what I was talking to you about before, the different learning styles. So I'm going to share with you at the end of this presentation the link for the personality or the creativity test. You can do it for yourself and you can share it with your classes. So if we talk about the learning style, this is another exercise which I'll share with you, and it will tell you exactly, are you more of a, let's say, visual learner, or are you more of an auditory learner, or even a tactile learner? Let me take you back. So the visual learners are people who actually see and then they learn. So if I ask you, for example, I have this desk and it's been, I bought it from a shop and I need to set this up, or I need to assemble the desk. And I say to you, can you assemble this desk for me? Some people actually just bring out the instructions, read it, and then or assemble the desk. Some people actually go on YouTube, and they are the visual learners. They need to see how it's done. Okay, so you need to identify, are you more of a visual learner, or are you more of a auditory learner? Now, the auditory learner are those who learn better by hearing. And I'll give you an example. For me, when I open a book, I want to read, or I want to start reading a book, I start with the first word, and suddenly I start daydreaming, and then I end up right at the bottom of the page or the bottom of the chapter thinking, how did I get there? What happened in between this page, between the first word and the last word on this chapter? And then when I did this test for me, I realized that I'm an auditory learner. So what I started to do is that I started to listen to books rather than reading them. And I literally close my eyes, put my headphone on, turn the audio book on, and I start listening to the book. And I managed to complete so many books in such a limited or shorter time, and the information was just sticking in my head. It was unreal. So you need to identify, are you an auditory or are you a visual learner? Now, when I personally did the test, I found out that I was actually 40% visual, 40% auditory, and 20% tactile or kinesthetic. Now, you might think, okay, so this is audio, I'm hearing, this is visual, I'm seeing, but tactile and kinesthetic is more to do with hands-on or reading instructions. And that's when we go back to the desk. Assembling the desk is the people that actually read the instruction or read the guide notes. So you might think, okay, but what has this got to do with learning English or learning a second language? The idea is that if you identify, you might think, why has she got the chicken on the screen? I'll show you in a bit. So the reason you need to identify your learning style, not just for learning English as a second language or learning any other language as a second language, but it's also to teach you more about yourself. Maybe you might know, or you might already know about yourself that, yes, I learn better by seeing, but at the end of the day, sometimes it makes more sense when you do a test or you do a simple quiz. This puts sort of things into perspective. You start knowing more about yourself, and it makes it easier for you in the future to learn new things. So if you are going to be learning English or if you're learning any other language, you need to first of all identify your learning style. Now, let me show you. Let me see if it works. Just bear with me. If you can't hear the sound, please let me know. And I'm going to ask you a question, if this is okay. Let me just show you. If you can't hear the sound, please let me know. Can you hear the sound? Yes, no, maybe?
Yes, actually.
Yes? Okay. All right, perfect.
I think that my making my wrong for my thing. Oh, the reason on that screen. Read that station. No, conversation is cut. I mean, why did I sold it for the Magdalene Nation? It's further back my chosen. Chosen's in Magdalene. I know my shit.
Okay, now, did anybody understand what they said?
No.
No? If you didn't understand, I hope you didn't understand what they said. They were basically talking...
Yeah, actually we didn't, doctor, because the voice was not clear. So, yeah.
Yes.
There was
Right.
much noise.
Yeah.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. The point of the exercise was... The point of the exercise was that to show you that, or to at least express to you how people hear English. And it's not just English, any other subject that doesn't, or any other language or any other subject that doesn't make sense to people. So they were basically speaking gibberish or muffled voices. And it tells you how sometimes you sat in class delivering a lecture, or even you as a student or somebody who's trying to learn something new, you sit and think, oh my God, I don't understand what they're saying. This is really important. So we have to make sure that when we are learning something new, we need to find our own method of learning. And when we are delivering something new to other people, we need to understand what sort of learning style they have in order to deliver the right message and make sure that the information sticks in. So what makes it hard to learn? It's the language, the spoken language. I'll give you an example. Sometimes so many people are used to the spoken language or the day-to-day street language, let's say, maybe from watching TV, maybe from engaging with people who speak that language, but that doesn't necessarily mean only foreigners or only non-English speakers suffer with this. I have English speakers, of course. My class is a mix between Europeans and British students, but because they are British, because they are native speakers, that doesn't mean that they are good in the language. You have so many people go out to the street and speak to anybody that you come across. Check, are they literate? Are they illiterate? Just because they are British, just because they are blonde or blue-eyed, doesn't mean they are well educated. Doesn't mean that they know how to write or read English or even write academically. You might have somebody who's a professional, who's an academic, coming from, let's say, Netherlands or China or India, but they would be much more proficient in the language than somebody who's actually a native speaker. So the exposure to the language. Now, students suffer or struggle with the spoken language. So, for example, let me show you here. I had a student the other day. I asked, they had an exercise to do, and she literally wrote in the assignment, she said, I gonna, can you see this? I gonna. And I said to her, so what do you mean, I gonna do this? And she said, it means I gonna do the exercise. And I was like, explain it to me, I don't understand it. She said, Rula, what do you mean? So she thought that I did not understand the word. I knew exactly what she meant, but I was trying to pinpoint and tell her that you cannot speak common language or, let's say, straight language. You can't write it down for academic purposes. So you have to identify, are you writing for academic purposes, or are you, let's say, giving a formal presentation? So this is something that you need to identify as well and work on it. I had another student today actually send me a message. He said they went through digital, and I thought, okay, what's through? What do you mean by through? And he said, well, they went through digital strategy, and I was like, explain it. And he kept going on, and he missed the point. My point was that you need to pay attention to your spelling. Through is not spelled this way. So many European students, for example, I say to them, why do you want to choose a career in, let's say, senior management, or why construction management? They say, I want to grow up with the organization. But okay, I keep pointing out, you can't say that I want to grow up with the organization, or I want to grow up with the business. I want to grow, yes, absolutely, but you can't say grow up, because what's happening is that they translate from their native language, translate it in their head, and speak it in another one. So that's why I said you need to practice the language, practicing through hearing, listening, watching TV programs, listening to the radio, and finding people that you can actually communicate with this in that particular language. But we'll get to that in a bit. Now, another worry why you may not learn English well, or why you may not learn a language well, is fear of failure. What if I don't do it right? And I find this, for example, I conducted 50 academic misconduct hearing this month. I'm sure you know what an academic misconduct hearing is, that when people or when students actually copy from the internet, or even they do contract plagiarism, which is pay somebody to do their work, and we find out, and we send them to a hearing and investigate them. So when I say to them, why did you commit this offense? Because it's a crime. It's stealing. And they say to me, because I was worried that I wouldn't pass my assignment. So this fear, because their language is, let's say, Bulgarian or Romanian or Russian. So this fear of failure, maybe they're embarrassed. Maybe they are confident about their skills. They are confident about their abilities in the language, but they do too embarrassed to speak in front of the class, or even in front of others who are maybe they know them, they're their friends or family, or even workmates and colleagues. So they do get embarrassed. Lack of support. So you need a supporting environment. So you need somebody who would actually back you up and give you positivity and give you energy, rather than saying to you that, oh, you're not going to learn, oh, come on, you're too old, oh no, why do you need this, why do you need that? So you need to be surrounded by people who actually support you. And insufficient feedback. You might be teaching yourself, or you might be going to classes, but there's not enough feedback that would actually indicate to you whether you're doing well or not. So things like to improve your English, or to improve other people's English or written English, you need to identify first what are you? Are you a student? Are you just a general learner who's doing it, like I said, who's learning this language for leisure? Or are you doing it for academic purposes, like I said? And also you need to identify which institution you're writing for. So for example, IFL students, or are you reduce their marks and grades for at least between 8 to 12 marks from their work if they use the wrong spelling. So for example, if they use United States English spelling or American spelling, immediately I knock them down 8 marks in their assignment because they used US spelling. So, and I say to them, if I had the choice, I would ask you to break the letter Z from your keyboard, because organization is with an S, not a Z. Analyze is with an S, not a Z, and so on. So, whereas in the UK, it's different spelling when it comes to the Zs and to the color and so on. So it depends. So you need to identify who are you writing for. Are you writing for a British academic institution, or are you writing for an American? So, for example, I'm a reviewer. I've reviewed some papers recently for a conference. They sent me the sample papers to review, and I sent it back to the authors, and I said, check your spelling, because it lacks, it's not addressed for the British academia, it's actually addressed for US academia, so change the spelling. And don't use abbreviations, so don't abbreviate it, write it in full, okay? Do not, okay? And remember to avoid you and your, write you rather than you are, rather than your, you write you are, and so on. So simple practices. If you're going to use an acronym like NASA, the first time you use it, you need to make sure that you use the right or the full meaning of the acronym, and then later on you can just use the acronym or the abbreviation. It's really important, really important to check your SPAG. The SPAG, which stands for spelling, punctuation, and grammar, is really important because it reflects on the quality of your work. And just because we have an option of dotted red lines under a word when we're using a Word document, or a blue or green even, indicating a grammatical error, when we select what's been given by as an option by the computer, it doesn't necessarily mean it's right in terms of context. So using the right context is important. But at the end of the day, like I say to our students, I say that I will be very much happy with a low quality work in terms of contents, better than contracting somebody, better than copying somebody else, or collusion or whatever. So don't be worried, don't be scared that the quality of your work in terms of language is not fantastic, because practice makes perfect. The more you practice your work, the more you practice writing, it will get better. Trust me, it will be much better in the end. But you have to practice, and to practice your writing, you need to practice your reading. If you struggle with the reading, practice your listening. Listening skill it's a fantastic skill that you need to use, not just in learning a language, but in your daily life. You need to practice listening to people, listening to what they're saying. So how do we do this? We get in touch and we collaborate with our team, if we have a team, or classmates if we're learning in a class, or even work on the language by accessing social network, meeting people online, of course bearing in mind you have to be safe and secure, and so on. Academic study groups. If you're a university or an institution, or if you're a lecturer, or if you are in a position to organize a study group for your classes, or even as a student you be involved in an academic study group. This helps a lot because you tend to see your peers. You need to see like-minded people, those who are interested in learning, but everybody needs to be supported, so they need your support maybe, so support each other. Bring in guest speakers who are fluent and efficient, let's say, and professional, where they can, if you're an institution, of course, this point is for universities and colleges and so on. So you need to make sure that you're inviting the right individuals, the right candidates, or the right guest speakers and so on. And use good examples or good case examples. If you have somebody who actually started, let's say, I bring in my other students as an example to the other further years. So, for example, the foundation starters or the ones that just started university, I bring in other people from the masters or the postgraduate classes who are actually with us from day one, from their degree or undergraduate, and they start giving a talk or a motivational speech to the foundation level classes. This is sort of a motivational case, and it will actually show them that they will be there. They will be like they will get there. They will be like the person who's actually demonstrating how they went through this process, and this will be a real life case study. Strategies, again, going back to SPAG, spelling, punctuation, and grammar is really important. So please make sure that you practice this, you read it, you make sure that you check your work several times. When I'm writing, for example, I have a paper that I'm working on and I need to check it. I don't necessarily read it to make sure that the spelling is accurate or the grammar is accurate. I put as audio. I start listening. It's on Word. You can just actually click the button and then start reading it to you. Audio, listen to anything. No, that's wrong. So sometimes if you practice your listening, you tend to pick up on errors if you don't want to check it manually. Check other examples or other assignments or other work to see the good cases and the bad cases. And also what I wanted to show you was the University of Manchester phrase bank here, and Quillbot, Grammarly, MyBib, and this is of course really important because especially for researchers and those, let me just show you here. I hope I set it up. I do apologize, just bear with me. And it's actually University of Manchester phrase bank. If you go on this, I will be sharing this link for you. This is an absolutely fantastic source. This is a phrase bank, especially for researchers. What it tells you or what it shows you is that if you are introducing your work, for example, you click here at the top, introducing work, scroll down, and you can actually select, are you being critical, are you being cautious, are you describing, and so on. So if you scroll down here, look at this. Look how fantastic this website is. And it tells you when you're establishing, let me see if I can actually, no, I can't increase the size, I do apologize. Oh, there we go. Okay. So when you're establishing the importance of your topic, just replace the X with whatever topic you're talking about. So let's say we're talking about big data. You can say big data is fundamental to, or you can say, let's say, I don't know, rocket science has a pivotal role in, or you can say the history of Babylon is frequently prescribed for, oh no, that doesn't work. So anyway, what you need to do is basically change the letter X into your own word or into your own subject. And this is actually helping you in using professional academic writing or academic written phrases if you're going to be establishing the importance of the topic in this discipline. So there are thousands. It's literally a phrase bank. It's amazing. You can, if you're referring to sources, can you see this here? And it's hundreds and hundreds of texts. Even writing the conclusion. How do you write the conclusion? stating the aims of the study, and so on. This study set out to, and so on, as you can see there. And also there's, there we go, okay, Quillbot, that's for paraphrasing, or you have Grammarly, so, or you have MyBib, a free citation generator, because sometimes I left all of these here for demonstration. So what it does, this actually, it shows you how to cite accurately. So if we use this, for example, this is just one click, we use that in order to use accurate citation within the text. So not only are we using accurate phrasing or accurate phrases and text for our written document, but we also can get support from how to cite and how to add references accurately. Maybe we can discuss that at another seminar. Right, okay, so let me just stop this. Okay, and again, using the technical words or technical terminology, make sure that you use glossary, as I said, if you have abbreviations and so on. So in a nutshell, start with why. You might think, what does that mean? So start with, why do you want to learn the language? Are you learning it for academia or academic purposes, or are you learning it for fun? But before I even go for the why, I want to go for, what am I? What's my learning style? What's my learning method? What's my learning skills? How can I make the most out of me? I need to know me before I get to know what's in the book. So get to know yourself. Get to know your skills. Learn more about yourself before you learn about something else. Set yourself SMART goals. Now, the SMART goals are very important, whether for this seminar, whether for any other subject or any other aspect of your life. Set your SMART goals. The SMART goals being specific, be very specific. And as I said, identify, why are you learning the language? Why are you interested in this language? So for example, I mentioned to you that I learned Welsh. The reason I learned Welsh, because I had to teach in Welsh. I was teaching people who actually forgot how to speak English because they were elderly and they can only remember how to speak their native language, which is Welsh. So I learned Welsh. That was my why. But the specific was, why am I learning it? Okay. Then measurable. Set measurable goals. So if you identify what needs to be achieved, identify how are you going to measure this. Am I going to test myself? Am I going to have a test? Am I going to ask somebody to test me? And then what's my measurable outcome? So you have in business something called key performance indicator, but you need to have something to measure this performance. So how are you going to measure? And achievable. So meaning you have to be realistic. Don't say that I'm going to learn so many words, or I'm going to learn so many languages in a very short time. For example, my son was saying to me at some point, he said, I'm going to learn 5 languages within 5 years. So I said to him that is this achievable? Is this realistic? And he tried to convince me that it was realistic. Cut a long story short, after 1 year, he said to me, Mum, it wasn't realistic. So you have to make sure that this is achievable. Set small, achievable goals. 1 word a day. Learn 1 word a day. 1 word, 1 spelling, 1 meaning. The next day, you learn a new word, but you remind yourself of the other word. Now, relevant. How relevant is this to you? Again, why do you want it? Is it because you're doing an assignment? Is it because you're doing a research? Or are you just interested because you want to enhance your career and so on? Set time bound, or set a boundary for your time, or time target, whatever you want to call it. At the end of the day, the T stands for time. How long are you going to be working on yourself in order to get to the point? I think I missed a slide for some reason. I missed it somewhere. But what I was trying to say is that if you are going to be making this achievable, you need to also identify your goal in terms of, do I want to be a beginner, if I'm going to be a beginner, that means I need to learn between 1,000 to 3,000 words for this particular language. And I need to then identify how long is it going to take me to learn the 1,000 to 3,000 words. So, or do I want to become, or do I want to be let's say, intermediate level? Or am I going to use it for professional purposes where I start using it in my career or in my work? That means I need at least 10,000 words. So I think I identified that in the slide for which certificate do you want. But the point being, you need to exactly identify what you want, which takes me back to the point that I was saying before. Learn about you, know you before you know anything else. So I hope I didn't take too much of your time and didn't rush you. I just want to leave time for questions. And like I said, I will be sharing the mini quizzes, if you like, with Dr. Junaid, if anybody is interested in using them. So thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Doctor.
Thank you. Let me just stop sharing.
Thank you, Doctor, for your wonderful presentation, and actually you have given us wonderful information concerning learning. Actually, you were talking about our students, or all the students in the whole world, especially those who are struggling with English as a foreign language. And definitely they have the same problems as you mentioned. But I agree with you that the main point is that they should know what they want exactly. They want to learn it as an academic purpose, or for life, for work, whatever. So they have to do it. They have to learn, as the purpose or their purpose in life. But the problem is that they are still struggling, and they are not going anywhere. Sometimes they are in the same spot, though we are trying our best to help them to get out of this dark tunnel.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, but unless the reason I emphasize quite a lot on the learning style, because they need to realize that things, the age of miracles, it's gone. We no longer live in the age of miracles. It's completely
absolutely.
So, and there's no magic. There's no magic cure for this. But what they can do is that they need to realize that they need to work on themselves. And the reason I said learn, or they need to understand their learning style, is that if they identify their learning style, maybe this is one of the obstacles. Maybe because they're not learning the right way for them. What's right for them, it could be wrong for somebody else. So if, let's say, we'll take a hypothetical example. I've got somebody who approached me from a university in Iraq, and he said that he's doing his final year project, and he needs my support because he's not happy with his supervisor, and so on. So I said, I'm happy to support you, and any student who approaches me, I'll just do a chat for you, have a discussion one-to-one or one-to-many, and then we'll start talking about your problems. This communication will, for me, identify what's their problem. So he said, but it's too late for us now. We're in the final year. We're in year 4. We're graduating, but I need this done. What do I do? And I tried to explain to him that he needs to work on himself, and then eventually it will be better. So you as academics or fellow academics, I think that this should be established from the beginning, because you eventually, once the students are about to graduate, then it hits them. Then they will realize, I really didn't learn anything in terms of language usage. I only learned the academic side of things. So maybe what I suggest for the university is to set up a language support group. And this has to be provided not only by the university, but also by members of staff who are committed and motivated enough to support students. So you need academics, you need lecturers who are actually happy to volunteer in order to support students learning practice of the language, because if you do this, this will build up a very solid base for the coming years. So if you're constructing a building, the first thing you do when you have a house to build, what do? You work on the foundation, isn't it? Yeah? Yeah? No?
Yes, true, doctor. Of course, I agree with you, and this is what I always actually do, with my students. I start from the first year, from those who are beginners, and then I continue with them until they graduate. Sometimes I find difficulty, let's say, with those that I didn't teach. For example, they don't know my style. For example, I try my best always to help them to talk, because they have barriers, as we say, and they don't practice in college or in classes or even at home. So they need time to practice so they can learn the language. Otherwise, they will be graduated from the department without even knowing, a single statement. So this is actually you actually remind me of today's. Maybe this is the what I faced today with my students, those who are about to graduate, and they asked me a very strange question that made me mad. They told me, can you teach us how to read? And I said, oh, yeah, they are struggling with novel. I'm teaching them novel, and they are struggling on how to read a novel. And oh my God, I'm trying my best, but it is really, it is impossible. As you said, I don't have, I'm not a witch, so I can't really teach them how to read now in this, in this year, because that should be starting from the very beginning. So I can't help them to know the way or the style to read a book, unless they are trying their best to really want to learn. But they don't want, it seems that they don't want to find, as you said, their strategy. Maybe some students like to listen, for example, to audiobook better than reading the book. Some I don't know, there are different strategies on reading a text, but mainly they rely on summaries, for example, or whatever. So it is really difficult to come with students who are about to graduate, and they have a very weak base.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I fully agree with you, because I do apologize if I laugh, because I sometimes get questions like that in class, and I think, oh my God, shoot me. So
you should, of course, you have to laugh.
Yeah, you do get shocking questions, and the answer to this is that they're asking you how to read. I would say to them, go learn the language. Start from basics, and which actually somebody asked a question here.
Yeah.
I think it's somebody called Karar Mehdi. He's saying how much it takes time for learning any language from zero to fluently speaking and the normal learning. But what is a normal learning? That's the question. What is normal learning?
I don't know.
Learning is learning A, B, C, D, E. This is not normal learning, because even children in primary school, they don't learn A, B, C, D. They learn A, B, K, D. They learn the sound. So learning the A, B, C, D, or maybe what you're calling as normal, is very odd and very unpractical, and that's why you have so many people who can actually are absolutely fantastic when it comes to knowing the grammar of a language, but when it comes to speaking and communication, they're absolutely zero. You can give them a document and they will tell you that this is wrong, this is right, this is spelling fantastic, this grammar is horrid, and so on. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to communication, communication is absolutely ground zero. So normal learning, it depends on you. What is your normal learning? Karar, the answer to your question is that find out about you, how you learn best, and then your normal will be just suitable to you, not necessarily for somebody else. So I'm not sure.
Doctor, true. They should know themselves.
If I can't see if there are any questions. There are so many questions about the certificates.
Yeah.
So what I'll share with you my personal experience with the current language that I'm learning. So I'm trying to learn or enhance my Spanish المعوق اللي دا أتعلمه. So it's very disabled. It's very basic. So I'm trying to learn Spanish. So what I've done is that I have a colleague. I actually have 3 colleagues who are native South Americans, and it's very interesting for Spanish because South America speak a slightly different Spanish from the Spanish. So what I do is that I ask them at work that when I'm at university, I say, please don't speak to me in English, speak to me in Spanish. And what I do is that every day while I'm going to work, I learn just one word, and that word, one specific word, and that word in different contexts. And the next thing I add another one and build it with the previous one. Okay, and I start building this. So around by the end of the week, I review everything. And what I do in my rest time or my quality time with the family, I just make them watch Spanish episodes with me. And I stop showing the transcript at the bottom. I just watch it and think, okay, I know that word, so this is what they mean. I start to make or comprehend or make sense of what they're saying from the words that I've learned over time. Okay,
definitely.
You need to also identify, if we're talking about English, it's slightly different, but there are some languages that when you learn them, it becomes another language will become easy, meaning if you speak Spanish, Italian is it's an extra credit. You can learn it very quickly. If you speak Dutch, German will become very easy for you. If you speak French, you can learn Swedish. So if you want to learn Turkish, if you speak Arabic, Turkish is so far I've seen it, it's very easy, it's not complicated. But with English, you have to make sure that you are actually listening. It's really important. Even if you go to BBC World Radio, just listen to the radio. Sometimes it just doesn't make any sense. That's why I shared with you the video clip. You hear it like gibberish, blah, 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 blah. It's like, oh, okay, and house. Oh, I know that word, house. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Literature. Yeah, I know literature. It means, so you start building up and making sense of things the more they listen. So my advice for your students is to listen.
Well, that was my advice as well, all right, because with my first lecture, I told them, they should listen, because with listening, the other skills can come easily. So they have to listen first, speak, and then they will, of course, come reading and writing later. So with listening, everything is going to be all right.
Make it fun. Tell them to listen to songs.
Yeah,
of
course.
Lecture on
they
TV.
Can listen to everything. Yeah.
Sometimes one of the song program, what is it? Oh God, I forgot. It's an app that you have. You can actually link it to your Spotify. You can link it to your TV, and if you listen to the song, you can actually select for text, and it shows lyrics, and you can see the lyrics. So they start linking. So there are so many fun ways that you can actually enjoy while you're learning a language.
Yes. Doctor, I think there are some questions here for you. One is asking how we can evaluate our language and notice the difference or the improvement. The other one is asking or saying, for example, I suppose the main cause or obstacles for learning English in Iraq is the little attention for psychological factors. I don't know.
Little attention to psychological factors. I personally do not believe that this is an issue, because you can be as happy as you want wherever you are in the world. I mean, personally, I'm not going to share my personal life experiences, but literally I've been to hell and back. But what motivates me, what drives me is that a word that my mother used to say before she passed away. She used to say that if I was a man, I can literally lift the wall. I will lift the wall, but I have no power or no energy of a man to lift this wall. And I used to think, the difficult times that I've gone through in my life, I used to think, there's a massive wall in front of me. What do? And I found a way. I dug under the wall. So there are many different ways in which you can demolish the wall, break the wall, or dig underneath it. So if there's a psychological blockage, the psychological blockage is not from the society, it's not from the community, it's from you. You need to have faith in yourself. You need to have the strength in yourself to believe that, yes, I can do it. I don't care about the community. I don't care about the society. I don't care what people think, whether I can do it or not, because deep inside of me, I know that I can do it. I know I'm good enough. Learn it by yourself. This is what you need to do. The situation in Iraq, it's absolutely no discussion and no doubt about it. It's, with all due respect, it's very difficult, to say the least. I fully understand. But if it's something simple like, I'm not talking about difficulties in life and work and not receiving your wages if you're working, and I'm not talking about the political issues. I'm talking about simple things like learning a language. Why am I blaming it on psychological blockage? Maybe learning the language is going to be my happy bubble. I just specify or identify my time, my me time is my language learning time. Isolate yourself from everybody else. Spend half an hour a week, even if it's half an hour, even if it's 1 hour a week. I'm going to go somewhere out of this surrounding area, out of my comfort zone, sit somewhere and learn the language. So the psychological blockage, I'm not too sure that this is actually, I mean, with all due respect, I'm not disrespecting your emotions. I'm saying that break it. Don't allow this to be an obstacle. The answer to the question is that how do you evaluate our language and notice the difference? You notice the difference when people compliment you and say, wow, you're Iraqi, but your English is fantastic. How you evaluate it is if you, for example, you have exams. That's why I said whether it's the B1, B2, C1, C2, or it's the IELTS. If you are self-taught, you can register them for an exam. So, for example, I learned German. So what I did was I went and had an exam at the Goethe Institute. So I got certified. I got the evidence that yes, because I took this exam, yes, I have a level so-and-so in German. The same thing with you. You can actually, there's so many free applications online, so many quizzes and tests. You can actually test yourself, and this is how you can evaluate your progress. So set yourself a target. This takes me back to the SMART goals and say, okay, in 6 months' time or in 3 months' time, when I'm going to finish this self-taught session or this course, I'm going to have a test on that date, and this will identify my level. And this is your measurable target. This is your measurable tool.
Yes, true.
Yes, true.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for your actually great advice for those who are, searching for any single hope, to continue in learning English and find it quite easy and interesting language, not as a duty. So thank you very much. If we don't have any more questions, then I think I can share with you. I'll try to be short, or in my presentation, because it's about now, I think, more than 10:30 p.m. So yeah, people, will try to sleep. Okay, so I will, of course, you have talked, Doctor, in your, in your presentation about actually about this issue, which is how to build confidence or how to continue standing as a strong person and try to speak in front of people, for example, which is actually, I find it quite a big issue for our students, not only our students, everyone who would like to learn, especially those maybe the Arabs and those who the Iraqi in particular. And I've got the chance actually to to teach different people from different countries with my experience in Malaysia when I was studying PhD, and then I taught there. I was teaching there for about 2 years. So actually, I found like different people, like the Arabs, the Malaysians, the Indians, the Chinese, all of them. They are struggling with the language. Though they are, all of us are studying the language from maybe the primary school. So they have an issue, which is actually the confidence. The confidence for speaking is they have low esteem and low self-esteem, and they think that if they speak in front of their classmates, they might be embarrassed, they will make mistakes, etc. So it is, and of course they are afraid of the of the maybe of their teachers. I don't know. They have so many problems. But from my experience, let's say I found out that they have put these barriers by themselves. They actually, there are no barriers, but they created these limitations for themselves, and they have to. I know it's not easy, but they have to destroy all these barriers and go and cross them to another world, the world where they are free to speak themselves. What I meant, hereby, maybe for those who asking about the confidence, I mean the mindset that we have here, like the way you think, the thoughts you have, the things you say to yourself. So either you are being mean to yourself or critical, okay, or supportive. So the voice in your head is telling you that you are weak. You are not good in language. You are not good in pronunciation. You are not good in presenting. Or of course, the voice is telling you that you are good, you are positive, you are strong, etc. So the voice is supporting you. So it depends on your mindset, how it's actually working in your mind. That of course will affect your confidence or the way that you speak or not speaking. So sometimes you say my English is bad. Okay, this is one of the things, for example, that you struggling with. You have, let's say, a low level of the language. So you always say to yourself, my English is bad, and you believe it. It's like, when someone, or a teacher, for example, is telling a student, you are a loser, and you are, a failure. So the student is starting to believe this day by day, even if he or she is not really a loser. This is what you are saying to yourself, that my English is bad, and you are believing this as a fact. But you have to avoid such kind of statements to yourself, or such kind of negative statements. Use instead, for example, my English is a work in progress. I am improving every day. I think this is the way, a better way to actually giving a statement. This statement is better than my English is bad. All right. It's a positive way. Always be positive. This is my advice always for my students. Always be positive. Don't be negative. Don't show that you are weak. Weakness is just something that is actually it doesn't exist. Okay, everyone is born with a strength, and you should have to you should use it and especially when you want to speak a foreign language or a second language. What actually helps you to maybe avoid the embarrassment or avoid the weakness that you call it as a, if you call it weakness, or you that give you more confidence in speaking in front of a community. So you have to prepare, right? Preparing helps you to be in control. You're controlling the class, for example. You're controlling your friends. You're controlling a meeting or interview, etc. So you should prepare yourself. Without preparation, you will feel lost, you know, and maybe the others who are looking at you, they will feel also lost. This kind of, you know, situation definitely will make you weak, and you will lose your confidence, and you will maybe not continue on your speech or in your presentation. So definitely preparation is very important. What actually, and I will mention it later as well, the posture and the body language. When you are standing, the way you stand in front of you know, people to speak, and not even you know, so many people, even if you are speaking with one person, so you have to take care of your body language, your facial expressions, your hands, your stand, the way you stand. Everything is showing how confident you are, even if you are trembling, for example, from, you know, inside. But you shouldn't show it to the others. Always show that you are strong, that you have really you know, the control over the situation, over your speech, and that of course can give a very positive you know, feedback to yourselves from the others. Here of course it is, you know, which is one of the things that you need always to do whenever that you have a presentation or a seminar or you know, an interview, whatever. So you should actually keep a list of achievements and your accomplishments. Always tell yourself what you have done so far, and that of course will inspire you to go forward and you know, to make much better, you know, steps, right? And also you know, you may use it as a recording. It's up to you, of course. You are free to use the tools. You can record it by maybe recording your voice, or maybe writing down or typing. So you have the freedom to do whatever that you want, but you should write what you have done so far, or where you are reaching, which steps that you are reaching so far. These actually symbol reminders show you you know, where you are right now, and it will help you to go forward. So definitely that is a very important issue. Always write you know, the positive things that you have done so far. Actually what I think, you know, from, let's say, my simple experience in teaching, that you know, when you want to speak with anyone, with 1, 2, or 10, or you know, 50 people in a room, so it depends on, again, on the way that you are presenting, to avoid, of course, the embarrassment, again, to avoid you know, trembling, to avoid I don't know, there are a lot of people can sometimes they don't breathe, they can't breathe, sometimes they cry, and they can't speak in front of you know, society. So they you need to practice few little things which are very simple, like smiling first. Okay, you smile. Don't frown in front of people you are trying to present. Of course, always smile. You know, it helps to actually to make you positive. It's not only a positive thing for yourself, but also for the others who are listening to you. They when you are smiling, you will give, you know, a very comfortable situation for yourself and the others. When you feel that you are actually about to you know, to be embarrassed, for example, or you know, you can't speak or whatever, you can just take a deep breath. So breathing is definitely a very good technique that you can use to avoid, the such kind of embarrassment, or to avoid your fear, to get away from the fear of the society, and it will help definitely that you can speak freely. So smile, breathe, and then of course speak in a slowly speak to slow down in your speech. That definitely will help. That you will of course avoid committing mistakes in language, and and it will give you also time to think about what you want to say. So smile, breathe, and slow down. These are very simple techniques that you can use while starting to make a presentation. Here, of course, I agree with Dr. Rulawi. She said that you have to ask yourself what's your purpose in speaking to them, for example, or to the community. What is your purpose for those people? Of course, she has mentioned the learning. What is your purpose of learning? I'm saying here about this speech because you have problems in speaking. So what is the purpose of your speaking to this community? Is it to entertain? Is it to educate, or to present ideas or information, or maybe you are in charge of a meeting? So what is your your point or your purpose? You have to take the idea that you want to, okay, and you want to discuss, and feel free to to express it. And of course, in this case, when you know your points, for example, you are talking about entertainment, so you don't have to use so many difficult or complex information, or academic information, etc. Of course, you will be quite simple in your speech. But when you are speaking, for example, in a meeting, definitely you need to use some kind of academic references, for example, or I don't know, it depends on the purpose that you are presenting. So when you know yourself, when you know the audience that they are listening to you, definitely that will be easier for you, and will give you confidence. So you have to maybe prepare. Of course, definitely preparation is very important. Prepare before meeting such kind of people, and know what is the purpose of your speech. Here, of course, I'm giving you, let's say, of course, for those who are simple learners, let's say, or starting to learn the language, and to avoid, of course, such kind of embarrassment or weakness in presenting or speaking the language. You just you need to speak quietly, not too fast, and of course you have to control the volume of your voice, not too much loud and not too low, okay? When you are speaking in a very normal way, of course the listener will accept your speech, and everything is going to be all right. If you are so low, your voice is so low, they will not hear you. If you are so high, of course the volume, people may be so annoyed, for example, from the high volume of your voice. So try always to be normal and in control of your volume, and also of the speed of your voice. Not so much speed, and not too slow. So it depends, of course, on your control of your voice. And always try to speak in full sentences. Don't use fragments, and then the audience will be lost. So try always to use full sentences. And when you are speaking, for example, and you made mistakes and say, oh, okay, I'm sorry, or apologize for my English is so bad and weak, and I've done a mistake. You remember that you have done a grammatical mistake. Don't do it. Okay, this is quite, you know, a wrong way of you know, of showing that you don't have self-confidence. You know, the first thing that you need, let's say, or the first rule in English, that there's no rule. You should always just speak yourself. Don't think of the you know, of the mistakes, the errors that you made in speaking. Definitely in writing, we have different issue. In writing, of course, you should take care of the spelling, of the grammar. But in speaking, try always to be normal and you know, as simple as you can. Use simple language, use simple words. You don't have to use complicated ones that maybe you will find difficult to put in context. So definitely you need to you know, be yourself. Don't apologize. The others, of course, they don't, you know, they know that you are not you know, a native speaker, so it's okay to commit mistakes. It's not, you know, a sin. So here, of course, some of the tasks that you can use, of course, to help you to become in much control of yourself, or to have much more confidence, like recording your voice. Like, for example, use the introduction. I introduce myself, okay, for 1 minute, and then I listen to myself. I see, you know, the volume of my voice, the speed of my voice, for example. How do I control my voice? And then I repeat this kind of task, which will help me, of course, in every single time to definitely to become a much better. And then I can, of course, write situations, for example. You know, while I feel nervous in speaking English, what kind of situations that make me nervous, I write it down. I try to also record it, for example, and then find how can I handle this kind of problem. And definitely it will help to, you know, avoid such kind of embarrassment later when you're in real situation. This is a very big challenge, but it's not impossible. Definitely, always, you know, try to find communities that you can share with, a chat, for example, native speakers, you know, online. You know, I don't know. There are a lot of course, platforms online that you can find people that you can talk to, and you know, you can start from the easy to the medium and to the hard. Of course, you don't have to jump into the hard way, like talking to 5 or 10 minutes with a native speaker. Start from the beginning, from the easy one. Then, of course, you can go starting with the other levels. Speaking with a native speaker will help you to or not even a native speaker, also a semi-native speaker, or your professor, for example, or a friend who has a very good language. That, of course, will help to break the ice and also to avoid such kind of embarrassment and give you more confidence in speaking. You will not think of your mistakes, and you are going to, you know, I mean, the speaking is going to be easier for you. This is, of course, I will end with this slide, and I like it so much when I found it on the internet, and I put it here because I think that when you are speaking in front of people, just think of yourself as a superhero. Stand like a superhero with your body, you know, with your you know, personality, with your energy, with your facial expression, your smile, etc. So everything about you should be like a superhero. I'm not saying that you I don't want you to be like Superman or you know, or Flash or whatever. No, but you are, as a human being, definitely, when you are avoiding your weakness in for example, in presenting, or your fear, or you have a low self-esteem, when you stand and you speak, in front of community, definitely you are a superhero for me. You have a great power. It's not easy. It's not easy to speak in front of a community. It's not easy to speak, especially in a foreign language that is not your mother tongue. So when you are doing this, I really appreciate it, and I think that this is really a great deed, and you have done a great job. So always think of yourself as a superhero. Stand there, in the class, wherever that you want, and then of course all the obstacles will just disappear. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope that I have given you a simple, let's say, simple advice or simple strategies on how to avoid, the weakness, for example, in presenting, and how to gain or build, more self-confidence. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Maysam. It's absolutely amazing. I really love this, and you made a fantastic point, and so many people actually underestimate their abilities and really just downgrade themselves when they're doing a presentation, or even when they're speaking. You said something about don't underestimate your abilities. Actually, I do have a friend of mine who's she's lived here 30 years odd, and every time she speaks to somebody English, she would say to them, "I'm sorry, my English is not very good." This is how she starts a conversation. And I said to her that never ever say this anymore, because you are underestimating yourself in front of somebody who only speaks English. You have the advantage of being bilingual. You know Arabic, you know English. So if they're not better than you, at least they are the same level as you. So don't underestimate yourself. I love this point. Absolutely spot on.
Thank you, Doctor. Yes, you're absolutely true. Yeah.
Thank you. And also, I've noticed that some students, somebody was recently doing, he did a fantastic presentation in terms of contents, but he's also a foreigner, but when he was presenting for the class, he was worried that he's not good enough. So he basically gave his back to the class and started speaking with the whiteboard. And he completed the presentation, and I said to him that I'm not going to mark him, although my job was to mark him on the contents, but I said to him, it's unfair to you that I mark you, because I'm going to be very biased. I need you to speak to the others rather than to the whiteboard. So confidence is
true. This is actually, I'm struggling, as you mentioned, Doctor, that I'm struggling with my students actually because of this. They are so afraid to present in front, even with their classmates. And I'm trying, I'm teaching novel, and they, I'm trying with them that they present, in front of their friends, and I can see that from time to time they are much better, and some of them, they were shy, and now they are really better than the beginning. So they just need to practice. They just need to break the ice. It's only the first time. Maybe it's quite difficult for them, but as far as I can see, that every single time they can just become much stronger, and it's going to be quite easy. So they have just to start from the first step. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe just a thought, if you can break them into smaller groups, so they present to three. They're a group of three, and they present to two people.
Yeah, so of course they can.
Break it to smaller groups. Maybe that's an option.
True.
So, absolutely, they need the confidence, especially when it comes to using a different language. But just they're all in the same boat.
And they need, they need also encouragement, Doctor. They need also, someone to encourage them to do that, someone to help them or guide them to do it. it's not difficult. Definitely, I wish that everyone can help in this. I know it's sometimes they think that such kind of students are, are helpless cases, but no, they are not. From my experience, I found out that some of those students who are quite silent, maybe, and they are the most amazing students when you just dig the jewels. So you just find the jewels there. Just take the dust, check out the dust. So definitely, you just need to find them and help them to get out of the shell.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Mason.
Thank you, Dr. Rula, and I wish that if we have Mr. Qasim, are you with us, Doctor? And can you just share your screen?
Okay, thank you very much, both of you. I'm really enjoying listening to you, both
yes.
chatting. Yes, that was just great.
Yes, Doctor.
Both of you. Actually, you have left nothing for me.
Yeah, sorry, but it's still definitely you have your own perspective.
Yes,
so we will be glad to hear you.
I really appreciate your points when you focus about how to build this confidence in students. And actually, and unfortunately, I say that some teachers, I say some of the teachers, also need to build confidence by themselves. They feel like they don't have energy, trust, or something in themselves to speak in English or to deliver their lectures in English. So it is also important for teachers to focus on this point. Yes, actually. Let me get my slides ready, and please tell me if my voice is clear or not.
Yes, it is indeed. It's clear.
It is.
I can't hear you well already.
Pardon, Dr. Junaid?
I can't hear you well. Yeah, no, it's good.
Okay, great. So, as you were speaking about proficiency and fluency, I have something also to add here. Continue. Can you see my screen now? And
yep, we can. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think I have forgot to introduce myself, especially to Ms. Rola. Yeah, Dr. Rola. I am Qasim. I'm an English teacher at the University of Samara. Okay, I have taught for some years there, but Dr. Mason has much more experience than me. And,
sorry, Doctor. I forgot maybe to introduce you. I should have done it, but so you just go ahead, no problem. Of course.
It's okay.
Yeah.
In any case, delighted to hear you, Dr. Qasim.
Pardon, Doctor?
I'm just saying, in any case, delighted to hear you.
Thank you very much. It is really a privilege of me to have you here.
Thank you, likewise.
Okay. So it's about all fluency, and actually you have talked about this before. We have something in common here. Before you learn English, you have to consider these things, that there is no magic formula to gain fluency in English or any other language. We have tons of ways to learn a language. So as Dr. Rola said before, you have to discover ourselves, to have to find out what kind of learners we are before starting learning. So you may be a visual, musical, interpersonal learner, intrapersonal learner, and so on. So this opens the gate for you to learn better, and it is always easier than you think. Yeah, this is what Dr. Mixon has said, that building confidence make it easier for you to to learn better. And to understand fluency, some moment please. Yes. True fluency is the ability to read or to speak a language with ease. And you have talked about how to speak fluency and how to deliver a lecture, for example, in a fluent way. But I'm going to talk at the end of these slides how to read fluently. Some tips how to read, but okay, there is no problem of talking about some tips how to speak, how to build the confidence, and so on. Some people think that to be fluent, you have to speak too fast. And they are astonished and they say, wow, this person, this guy is talking too fast, so he is so fluent. Actually, fluency doesn't mean necessarily to speak fast. It means that you speak clear, you speak without hesitation, you speak with confidence, and to some extent you say correct. I mean, grammatically correct. So the most important thing is to communicate ideas effectively, not necessarily to speak 100% correct language. And actually I'm moving maybe too fast because I know people now are sleepy and it took too long for them for this so I don't want to be some boring with them. And okay, so here we have some tips to build a fluent language. First of all, we have to listen carefully. A good listener is a good speaker. Listening is the first key to acquire any language. As we can see in children actually have no channel but hearing. Maybe they see something, but the key channel for them to learn is hearing. So listening carefully to what is said is the better way to acquire a language. And I say acquire, not learning, because if we want to learn as children, we need to acquire a language, a certain language, unconsciously. Maybe you also need to think in English. You need to train for this. And instead of building thoughts and ideas in your mind and in your mother language, then translating it into English, which takes too long for you, try to think in English. So the output of your language is already there. So you don't need to think in Arabic then translating into English. So try to think in English. It might seem difficult at first, but practicing make it easier. Focus on fluency, not the grammar. Maybe my student will be mad at me because I'm teaching grammar for a while, but this is a matter of priority. You need to focus first on fluency to have this confidence to flow in your language. Then grammar comes next. Grammar is important, but it is a next level. The most important thing is to communicate ideas. And actually, this is a common mistake for English learners, especially in those who live far away from English native speakers. They try to adopt, or they are fascinated by a certain accent, like American accent or British accent. So don't try to adopt an accent from the beginning. The most important thing is to pronounce correctly. Learn how to pronounce correctly. Try to speak as easy as you speak in your mother tongue. Then adopting an accent or a dialect, maybe. Some people are fascinated with dialects also. So this is the next level, actually. Find people to speak with, or you can talk to yourself in front of the mirror. Actually, nowadays it is very easy to find someone to speak with. You know, the social media, these forums and others. It is easy to find a native speaker person to speak with. Play tongue twister games, like this practice. I always tell my students, if you speak a foreign language, this is like a football player tries to play basketball or volleyball. He or she is already a player, an athlete, but he or she needs to practice different muscles, different techniques. So here, this tongue twister games actually important to practice your tongue for the new language you learn. Like, she sells the seashells at the seashore. This is difficult for Arabs to say this because, different sounds, sequence of consonants, and these types of, actually I call it a new environment for the tongue. Record your voice and then listen to it. As Dr. Mason has said before, it is important because when we speak, we miss a lot of things. But when we listen, the case is different. And actually, this is what I wanted to say from the beginning. It's about how to read in fluently. To be fluent in the language, you need to be fluent both in speaking and reading, especially when we talk about the academic situation, context of situation. So here are some tips help the learner to read fast. Start reading simple, short text like children's stories, bedtime tales. They contain simple words. They are short. Okay, write and then read what you have already written. This also helps you because we are familiar with the text, so you have written this already, so you already have this confidence to read it because you are familiar with the text already. Try reverse reading. This is a very effective strategy. I have tried it with my students. Start reading from the end and back. Always when I tell my student to read, I usually have this kind of students who are chain reader. They read word by word. So I tried this strategy with them, and it works. It always works. When we want to read, we start with the last word of the sentence, and then we go back every time. So if we want to practice for this last sentence, the very last one, we can say back, back, then say and back, repeat it for 3 or 4 times, then and back, then the and back, the and back, then we go backwards, step backwards from the and back, reading from the and back, and start reading from the and back, and this like paving the road, paving the way, then we walk in it in the right way. Okay, this strategy also helps memorizing. When you want to memorize something, you try the reverse reading. Okay, and at the end, don't forget to use dictionary, watch English movies, and listen to BBC News, sing in English, subscribe in channels on YouTube or follow pages on and Facebook, and we really need to be patient. Okay, maybe this presentation is too short, but I am very happy to participate in this event. Thank you very much for making this possible. Thank you, Mr. Junaid, Dr. Junaid, for this.
You're welcome.
Yes, and actually I have some issues with my laptop, so pardon me.
Thank you, Dr. Qasim, for your presentation. It was wonderful, and you have given us really useful and important information concerning fluency. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
Yes.
I really, Dr. I want to ask you,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Rula.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Junaid.
Yeah, I want to ask you, Dr. Rula. As I remember, she mentioned about learning Spanish. For me also, I went to learn Spanish. But as I know, Dr. Rula, English and Arabic, it is her native languages. When she tried to learn Spanish, just like to learn one language. But for me, when I tried to learn Spanish and English, I tried to learn two languages at the same time. Can I master two languages at the same time, or do you agree with this thing?
Well, okay, I tried to learn two languages at the same time, and I stopped because I found it, to be honest, not only time consuming, but also you lose focus. So, for example, I was trying to learn Spanish and French at the same time, and it's completely two different languages. Had I tried to learn maybe Italian with Spanish, it would have been much easier. But I don't advise learning two different languages at the same time. What I suggest is that for me, what I set as a target for myself is the next 18 months to be an upper intermediate level. And I thought once I reach that upper intermediate level, then I can start introducing myself to a second language. Because if you do now, this will just make you lose focus. So and it's happening now for me. So for example, when I want to just remind myself of counting from 1 to 100, I suddenly realize I'm actually mixing with German. I'm thinking no, think Spanish. So you especially imagine if you're already learning a different language, it will just cause confusion.
Okay,
Maybe because
ya consigo español.
We know hablar español un poquito, but not much.
You are very good in Spanish.
Actually, the colleagues that I practice Spanish with, they said to me that they found it very interesting that I speak Spanish with an English accent, not an Arabic accent, which is very interesting.
Je voudrais français avec vous.
Oh, fantastic.
I do the same. I try to learn Spanish beside French with English really at the same time.
Yeah, it's difficult. But I liked what Dr. Qasim was saying, is that I liked the reverse reading. I haven't tried it. I think it's an absolutely fantastic method, I think. So I'm definitely going to try it. And also adopting an accent. This was a fantastic point. So many people try to adopt the accent rather than focusing on the meaning or on the language itself. So this was an absolutely brilliant point, Dr. Qasim. And also somebody actually we were talking about thinking in a different language. I was saying in my presentation that some of my students think in their language and then translate it in their head and speak it in English, and it comes out sort of really lacking. It does have so much grammatical errors. But personally, I always thought that I actually dream in Arabic. I thought أني أحلامي بالعراقي, and apparently it's not, because actually my daughter woke me up laughing at me the other day because I was dreaming and she heard me say, "Sorry, say again, I'm losing connection." And I said, "It's impossible. Why did I say this in English?" She said, "Yeah, you were dreaming." So I didn't realize that actually my dreams are a mix of two languages. So practice is really important, because the minute you start dreaming or maybe thinking in another language, that's when you truly become fluent.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks a lot, Dr. Dr. Maysam, I will open the mics and give opportunity to the participant to say something or to give us their opinion.
Yes, sure. Sure, Doctor.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, please, if anyone wants to talk with Dr. Rola and with Dr. Maysam and Dr. Qasim, to say something.
Thank you, Dr. Junaid. Dr. Sarah put a note there as well, saying that speaking to English from childhood or at a younger age, absolutely, it does help, yes.
Okay.
Somebody said she went quiet.
Yeah,
I opened the mic.
All of you.
Try again.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yeah,
can.
yeah.
Hello.
Good evening for everyone. Good evening, Dr. Arula, Dr. Maysam, Dr. Junaid, and Dr. Qasim. Thank you a lot for your effort.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate this lecture, because I think you light some point in our head and you give us some hint to complete our ways. I am the person that who asked about how I can evaluate my English, because you know, when we start to learn English, when we start to practice, and we try to develop ourselves, we want to know where is the weakness point, and we try to get this weakness point to develop it. Because you know, when you talk now, I really feel like, mashallah, that's great. I want it to be perfect like this. The fluency is great, mashallah. This is my point. It was about fluency. And you know, sometimes we when we talk in front of the people, we think that I feel some of, I'm afraid about my you know, vocabs. I'm afraid about my language is little bit is still not advanced. So this is the point that I want to say that.
Sure, thank you. Should I go ahead, Dr. Junaid, and answer?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Sajjad, for your question and for your participation as well. So the way that you evaluate, there are so many tools, and this is what I was saying before or mentioned. There are so many applications and so many tools online that you can actually download on your phone, download on your laptop, and do. It's like a testing or a quiz to evaluate where you are, what's your level, and even if you download an application on your phone, there's some applications that actually don't allow you to progress to another level without completing successfully a lower level, for example. And there are so many free applications. It even requires you to record your voice for the answer. So there are many evaluation tools free online that you can use. And, sorry, say again.
You know, Dr. Sometimes we are in our comfort zone, so we don't know how to get out from this place. You know, there's too much applications and like this, but how we can get out from our
comfort zone. I know مثلا I do the exams and I know that I am in the P2 intermediate. Okay, so I wanted to get out from this comfort zone because as a student, as a learner, okay, we sit on the place that we feel like, oh, I am good in this and that, and I wanna catch it. I wanted to sit in this, So this is the struggle. This is how we can get out from the comfort zone.
It's you. It's up to you. This is what I said before. It's you have to motivate yourself. You have to push yourself. You drive your own self towards leaving that comfort zone or leaving that bubble. Excuse me. What you need to do is that where do you want to be? You want to be in another level. I'm not going to say in a better level because you're already better. You're already speaking another language. You're already better than thousands and thousands of English speakers who only speak English. So you're already there, but you want to enhance what you already have. All you need to do is have faith in yourself that you can do it. The way to do it is to work harder on yourself. That's all you need to do. In terms of evaluation and measurement, there are tools, but you need to have an inner driver.
Sometimes we think these from our unconscious mind. I think these lectures that give us hints and lights on our road to get out from this comfort zone. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Let me tell you something. When I was back in the dinosaur age, when I was studying at university, the lecturers used to ask us to do a presentation, and I literally used to shake. The minute I heard the word presentation, I used to shiver. So what I did for myself, I created my own challenge, and I thought, why am I shaking? Why am I shivering? My voice would literally shiver as I speak. Or as I spoke. So I decided to challenge myself. Every time a lecturer would say, who's going to present the answers from the group, I would put my hand up and say, I'll do it. And I knew very well that I was going to make a mess and I was going to be mocked by my classmates. But I thought, I don't care. I need to get over this fear. So you have to find your inner driver.
That's great. Thank you so much. And I think you and all you that always give us the motivation to improve ourselves. So thanks a lot.
That's great to hear. Thank you very much. Have I lost connection?
No.
Oh, sorry.
No,
I leave the mic
for more questions or participants to ask Dr. Junaid. Can you find anyone that wants to ask any question before we?
Yeah, open the mic for all. But I want to ask Dr. Arola, a lot of the learners, especially in Arab countries, in our country, when they try to learn language, they speak with the Iraqi way or with the Iraqi tongue.
It doesn't matter.
How can we cross this problem, please? Can you give us advice?
Normal.
This is absolutely very normal, very acceptable. And at the end of the day, what Dr. Qasim was saying, that it's not how you pronounce, it's how you speak. It's the quality of your spoken language rather than the pronunciation. But in terms of because I've seen people try to adapt an accent or adapt a different way of speaking, and it comes out really, really odd. It doesn't work. But for example, the Arabs, like you said, or Arab-speaking countries, they have difficulty with the letter P. So maybe people need to focus on this. So I was speaking to somebody, and I said, he was spelling something out for me, and he said P, and I said P as in Peter. He said B as in. I said B as in what? He said B as in Bitar. So and it was a name. I said, you mean P? He said no, B as in Bitar. So the Arab speaking people do have this, but maybe the way you can improve it is listening. Again, it's really important that you listen and correct yourself, and try to hear it from a native speaker. So there are so many videos on YouTube. It tells you how, let's say, the British pronounce it and how the American pronounce a specific word.
Yeah.
So maybe you can use videos and listen to how the British spoken English, and the more you practice, the more you listen, it will improve. But so far, I'm impressed so far. The accents I've heard, it's absolutely fantastic. It's wonderful.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Thanks, Victor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rula. Actually, you have come to a point when actually so many of my students also asking me about the accent, and I tell them, as maybe Dr. Qasim has said, that you should focus on the language first. Don't bother yourself of having an accent. It's okay. It will come later. You know, when you are listening a lot with your hard work, you will definitely will have an accent that you know that will adopt, whether American or British. It's up to you. But then first, of course, you have to learn the language properly. You have to know, the correct way of pronouncing things, or the grammar, for example, the fluency, etc. And then, of course, the accent can come later.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Actually, we are dealing nowadays with the term English is not English. So it is English, I think, not me personally, I think. People think that English become a universal language. It is no longer belongs to a certain group of people. It is for the whole people around the world. So it is okay to speak it in any way, but in a correct way.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So even if we're talking about the native English speakers, you have so many people, even when my kids were little, sometimes they say something and I say, no, this is incorrect, you can't say this. They are native speakers, but at the end of the day, they are mispronouncing it because they are speaking, the inaccuracy is because they speak, let's say, the street lingo. And so speaking English as a native doesn't mean that you speak accurate English. So I would very much agree with Dr. Qasim, is to focus on the quality of your English rather than your pronunciation.
Okay, if anyone wants to ask Dr. Arula or Dr. Misam, Dr. Qasim.
No, I think people are maybe nodding and sleeping by now.
And any activity in English language, yeah, the shyness, it is a major obstacle.
Well, type it. You don't need to speak it. Dr. Junaid, I just, while people may be thinking of a question, I just wanted to take this opportunity and thank you for this kind invitation. It's absolutely wonderful. I'm very much grateful, and I do appreciate everybody's attendance and engagement. So, and Dr. Mason's been absolutely fantastic. And Dr. Qasim's presentation was very nice as well. So I'm really grateful for having this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doctor. It's really a great opportunity to have you here. And thank you very much, Dr. Junaid, for making this event possible.
You're welcome. Thanks a lot. Okay, Dr. Mason, Dr. Rula, we will finish now. And
sure.
Do you want to say something before we Go.
No, I'm done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Junaid. Thank you, Dr. Rula, for this wonderful presentation. I was really happy to be with you here, and I wish that we can meet later for more such kind of, more wonderful presentations like this. Thank you.
طبعا
Thank you, Dr. Junaid, for this opportunity.
كان في عربي يعني بعض الاخوه سالوني قالوا تحكي عربي فقلت لهم تحكي عربي دكتوره ولا فان شاء الله يكون موعد اخر عندنا وياها على الكيو اس
ان شاء الله. لا احكي عربي، اعتقد يمكن حطيت فيكم كم كلمه عربي، اكو وايد يشيكون. او مثل ما تفضل الدكتور جنيد، يعني انا اعتبر عندي لغتين هي الانجليزي والعربي، ف maybe لهذا يصير confusion عند البعض انه تحكي عربي. لا احكي عربي، ولو زوجي يقول لي عربيتش نص ردن ما يقدر اعرف.
So your Arabic is as wonderful as your English.
Thank you. Sorry, Dr. Qasim, you were saying something?
لا كنت أقول على الأقل أحسن من زها حديد الله يرحمها، حاولت تحكي بالعربي ما قدرت فاعتذرت.
لا أنا أحكي الحمد لله، لا أحكي وأقرأ وأكتب يعني، لا مو أمي.
الحمد لله.
الحمد لله. شكرا جزيلا.
السلام عليكم.
مع السلامة. وعليكم السلام ورحمة.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.